Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about boundaries. Is this valuable for you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I mention something real quick?
Yes.
So I was at this orgasmic meditation thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but
it's my life.
This guy was trying to tell us about like how you play.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you play with women and all these different, like they have these different principles, but he was telling us this story about how they were at a house party. And there was, for whatever reason, it was a boring vibe, that neither of them were feeling it. And on the way, as they were leaving, there was a record player playing music, and the girl that he was with just like went like that. And the record just completely scratched, and everyone was like, oh, what happened? But they like left as that was happening. And he was telling us this story that like after that happened, he didn't want to like kill the vibe between him and her, so he kind of just brushed it off, and they went up over and they ended up hooking up or whatever. But he was trying to explain it from this frame of like how you don't want to kill the vibe with women, and instead you want to quote play with them or whatever. They call it like stroking, like with the pussy obviously, but they say in general in life to stroke her desire. But I was just wondering how you would react to that situation, and because to me it struck me like he wasn't setting boundaries at all. And if that was you, would you have the same sort of, I mean, what would you do in a situation like that if some girl obviously disrespected one of your friends, like his property? Like, I don't know how much that expensive that was or whatever, but like, how would you handle that situation?
Very similarly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, here's what he's saying. Here's what I heard. You don't want to kill the vibe. You want to stroke the pussy or play with it, right? Play with the energy.
Yeah.
Don't overwhelm it with masculinity or whatever, right? Don't kill the vibe. He sounds like a pussy who's afraid of conflict.
Yeah.
Did anyone else hear that?
Yep.
That's what it sounded like. When I think about this boundary shit, here's what I'm thinking about. Denzel. Think of every character Denzel Washington plays. If some bitch did that to like a good friend of his or something like that, what would he do?
Kill him.
Would he get emotional? Have you ever seen Denzel like super like losing it, or is he almost always calm, cool, and collected?
Calm, cool, cool.
He's cool as fuck, but he'd lay down the boundary. You're like, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah, I do. All right then, get in the car, and that'd be it. Right? So he didn't kill the vibe by like getting bombastically angry, but he set the fucking boundary in a masculine way, clear, assertive. This is it. Got it. Good. Get in the car. You know what I mean? I know what he's talking about. Like I know, like I call him a pussy or whatever, but like I know what he's referring to. Where like you don't want to be logical with women, you want to be illogical when you're flirting with them.
Right.
Nonsensical. Just let it ride. Whatever the fuck you say, it doesn't matter because it's the emotions, the energy, the status that makes the difference, and that's all true. But when it comes to this stuff, no, they want boundaries. Otherwise, they will walk all over you. 100%. Their like default setting is to walk over men who allow it, and the ones that don't, they fuck. That's like a very good general rule. The guys they can't walk all over, the guys who are strong boundaries, who are playful, who are challenging, who are high status, they sleep with, and then the ones they can walk over, they do, because they prefer to walk on rugs instead of concrete. The guys are the rugs. Okay? So let's talk about a couple things that we can do right now, a couple practices we can take in, all right? One of the most important things you can do to have boundaries in your life is to have your never list, all right? Who here has read the Perfect Day Formula from Craig? Good. Did you guys create your never list from that? Okay. It's good to update it, I would say every 6 months. All right, the never list. Simply, what are 6 to 12 things that you will never do? If you're watching this at home, I want you to pause this and I want you to fill that out right now. What are 6 to 12 things that you will never do in your life? For instance, some of my examples in my own life is like, I will never, this is one of my nevers, is I will never scroll aimlessly on social media. Because I caught myself doing it when I went to the bathroom. I will never do that. Useless. Sucks me dry. All right? Just the motivation of energy, you get FOMO, it's so stupid. Right? You start comparing. I don't do that. As you guys know, like in my party phases, 2013, 14, 15, I was partying like crazy, okay? And not all of it sober. There was one drug in particular that I really, really enjoyed. All right, actually has a name similar to joy or euphoria, and I really liked it. All right, how did I stop taking it? I made it a rule on my never list that I never take that, and that was it. I never took it again. Okay, except for one time, but we're not gonna talk about that. Okay, one time in 2 years. All right. So I put that's on my list. All right, little things like that. Like I never go to bed after 11 p.m. I try to get to bed I get to bed fucking early now. I like getting to bed at like 9 if I can, right? But I'll never after 11, right? That was another one. Just like specific things in your life that you will never do. When you create these rules, they act as boundaries for how you live your life, all right? And rules are much better than beliefs. This is that whole discussion. Beliefs is like, I'm the kind of guy who I believe I can go to bed at 9 p.m. How about you just make it a fucking rule and then you won't do it? We're already conditioned to follow rules. We've been doing it since we were born. Instead of try to rewire your whole brain completely, just take advantage of what's already there. Let's put better rules in place, all right? Second thing to do, Okay, here's what I want you guys to do right now. We're gonna do this exercise real quick. Just a couple questions to answer, okay? I want you to think back to a problem or a conflict that you had if you're in a relationship right now or in a past relationship that you had. Just remember some conflict, something that was troublesome, something that caused tension, disagreement, argument, whatever, okay?
There's one problem for that for me.
Think
in an actual relationship.
Do friendship or family.
Yeah.
You got that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, here's what I want to do. First thing, just write down really quickly, what was it? What was the conflict? What was the disagreement? What was the problem? What was the thing that caused the arguments? Just write that down real quick. Okay, what boundary would have helped, prevented, or even transformed that energy there? Because that, you guys, you know, that disagreement, that problem, whatever, that's just energy. That's just potential energy that can be used in a variety of ways. You're both worked up, energy, right? That's just potential energy that can be moved and transformed in a variety of ways. So what boundary would have helped or prevented that disagreement in the first place? What boundary would you have needed in your life and needed to have expressed so that never would have happened anyways, that never would have been a problem anyways? So just so you guys have an idea, I'll give you an example. One of my first ones was, so there's this newsletter I write every morning, and it's very, very like R-rated. Okay, in fact, it wasn't R-rated for a little bit, but it's R-rated again now. And when I would write it at first, and I still actually write the newsletters from my bed every morning. I still do that. Okay. When I first started doing it, it was just me in my apartment, right? With the girls that would be there, like every morning, what I would do, really, it probably happened more than I like to admit, but I'd wake up and she'd still be sleeping, and then I had one couch in this apartment, and I would like try to turn it into a bed. Because I couldn't write with her like right next to me in bed, so I'd go to the couch, I'd put a pillow and a blanket, and then I'd sit like this, my feet back, and I pretend I was in bed, and I'd write the newsletter from there, okay? But then when I got a girl who was there consistently, like not just a one-off, but like a girl I was dating, and this was Natalie when we first started dating, is she would be in bed with me, and I'd want to write the newsletter, and I don't want to go to the couch, so I would try and write it with her next to me, and she'd just chill there and be on her computer or whatever, but it would just be fucking annoying. I was like, this is like my morning time. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to hear anyone. I just want to fucking express. I want to create. I want to write to the people that I'm helping right here. And for a long time, this was like at the start of the relationship, I didn't know how to set those boundaries, right? I was like Zach. I just fucked, I don't know, a state or so of people, right, of girls. But I never had a relationship. So I didn't know how to do these things. When it was girls I knew I would never see again, I would just go to the couch, no problem. But I kind of want to see this one more often, but she's still here. I don't want to be like a huge dick to her and be like, I fucking hate seeing you in the morning. Like, because that's not true. That's not the right way to word it, right? Truth is, this is just so important to me. I need to set a boundary here, right? So what I had to do after several months, finally, where I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore, is I pulled her aside and I said, listen, this is my fault. This is my responsibility. These newsletters are the lifeblood of the business and of my own life and what I do. I love these things. Put my heart and my soul into them. And I can't write them with anyone there. I don't know why. Just something about any other human being like in the same room, it just fucks with my focus, it fucks with my attention. I can't be as real as I want to be, and it really hurts me. And as a result, it actually hurts the business, which hurts us. So we need to figure out a way where I can just wake up and write and not be interrupted, and this will blah, 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 and work, okay? And from that point on, it was very, very simple, okay? We wake up, and then she goes, and then I write, okay? Did you see how part of that boundary that I set, I didn't just show how it would serve me, I also showed how it would serve her?
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
Okay? When you're setting boundaries and you're having these relationship discussions at all that stuff you know in sales and marketing, use it. You're so good at copywriting and sales and persuasion, use it. Basic selling 101, show them how this works to their benefit. So many of us were like in the relationship, like we just have to be honest and like it's all about me, me, me. Fuck that. Right? You're still being honest when you describe how it works in their benefit, how it works in her favor. By us doing this, we're going to be able to take more trips. Okay? If you can connect like some grand picture that you know she wants to this new boundary, you got a winning fucking thing there. Right? Here was one thing that Donald Trump ran on. Okay? And it was this great idea of connecting a giant picture to some idea. And it was this. Hillary funds ISIS. Hillary created ISIS. That was this big idea that he used in his election. Do you guys remember that one?
Yeah.
He was like, because they sent the guns over there and she signed off on the agreement, and ipso facto, basically, she funded ISIS, right? If you can do that with your own shit, like newsletters, Turks and Caicos. Like if we can do this and I can write this the way I need to, then that's, you know, I want to go to Turks and Caicos, and I know you want to go and you want to stay here, and I want to stay here and I want to do these things. If we can do this, then we're going to do that. How do you think the best way to get the most out of these newsletters is going to be for us? And you almost make it their choice. Like, how do you think is going to be the best way for us to do that? And the obvious answer is, of course, oh, do this. You guys see how that works?
Yeah.
Okay. Another one I had actually was spending too much. By the way, I've had every relationship mistake, and in the last 2 years, I've methodically, deliberately retransformed my entire relationship. So all that shit about like once things are set up in a relationship and this is how things go and there's no boundaries or this or that, you can change all of it. It's not easy, but it can all be changed. It can all be renegotiated. Okay, trust me. Off camera, if you guys want to know, every single relationship mistake that someone can make, I've basically made multiple times at very high levels. Okay, but I've renegotiated all of it. I've retransformed all of it. It's better than ever. Okay. One of the mistakes I also made was we were together in the same room too much. Because especially if you work from home, you guys are always both right there. And we talked about if you're always both right there, then you lose that energy. You need space, right? As Esther Perel calls it, she calls it desire exists only in the gap. You need a gap. You have your own space, she has her own space at points, and there's a gap. Desire is created in the gap. All right, so we were spending too much time together, and I explained to her as another boundary was like, I said, like, listen, we're going to both lose like attraction for each other, and we're just going to be friends pretty soon if we keep living in the gray zone. Well, what's the gray zone, Jason? The gray zone is that space where we're both in the same room, but we're not, like, communicating with each other. We're both just doing things. It, like, depletes the energy between us. And I don't want to lose attraction for you. Do you want that for me? No, of course not. All right, so what do you think the best way for us to not have any more gray zone time together is going to be? And then you start going from there. Okay? So, like, I gave her examples. I was like, if we're both sitting on a couch, on our computers, that's gray zone time. We're together, but we're not really together. If I'm reading and you're watching some Netflix show, we're together, but we're not really together. We're both sitting at the kitchen table, you're with the dogs, I'm on a phone call or something, it's gray zone time. We're together, but we're not really together. And after a while, it's like, boom. And now, like after that, a couple years ago, she would start pinpointing when we had gray zone time, like if I didn't realize it. Like, we're in gray zone right now. And I'm like, you're exactly right, get out. Get out is basically one of my favorite lines to say to anybody ever. Whatever they say, you're just like, leave. Just get out. Okay? All right. Key thing to remember with boundaries real quick before we wrap up here. As John Wooden said, if it happens once, it'll happen twice. Right? This is the whole thing where, you ever heard the phrase exceptions to a rule? Okay? No such thing. You make an exception to a rule, the exception becomes the new rule. If you allow an exception to the rule, the new exception becomes the new rule. Let's just make an exception one time. No, you're asking me to change the rules. If it happens once, it'll happen twice. All right, very important with boundaries. And the last thing to note is that if you've had pretty loose boundaries over the years with friends or family or anyone like that, and you're tightening these boundaries now, expect resistance from friends and family. Expect the resistance from friends and family. Right? They may fight you, they may resent you for it, they may say you're being selfish, they may say you're not being who you are, you're not really being yourself, and they say they want the old you back or something like that. That's simply because they've gotten used to you dropping everything to attend to their needs in the past. When you start saying no and prioritizing your own needs, this makes their life less comfortable for the time being, and they will need to meet more of their needs on their own now. That's all that's happening. You're basically returning to healthy. That's what you're doing. It's a return to the healthy relationship because it wasn't healthy before. Make sense? Yes or no?
Yes.
Valuable? Yes or no?
Yes. Fuck yes.
Good. All right, so on that majestic note, that'll wrap up the advanced boundary module. Again, this is so important for you, whether you're dating, whether you're in relationships, or you're doing some amalgamation of the two. Boundaries are everything for a man, and protecting his kingdom, protecting his walls, and so on and so forth. And on that note, I'll see you in the next one.